Well, guys, I started doing these clips because I think people are so unique, and I think that there is a lot to be dug up and learned when you dive into people's stories. And so when I have these different conversations like we're about to have with Jordan, I asked Jordan to come with the answer to 3 different things, which is what makes you uniquely you when it comes to your perspective on life, work, and faith. And so got my buddy Jordan Muschamp here, and we're going to have an awesome conversation about those things.
Yeah.
So Jordan and I have been friends for a while. You were actually the first person to come and have this conversation with me when we were sitting in the living room right in there, and we were just kind of having a general conversation. It was that conversation that actually made me think that I need to do these more.
Yeah.
So thank you for that.
I mean, I was on the way up here this morning thinking about it, and I was like, this was 2 years ago.
That was 2 years ago?
It was 2 years ago. It was like...
And you filmed it?
Beginning of 2024,
That's
I think, was
Okay.
when, because when I'd come back to work.
Oh my
So
gosh.
that was, 2 years ago. Kind
So
of crazy.
let's start there. How have those 2 years been since we filmed that video? What's been happening in your life?
Just kind of been a little bit of a roller coaster. Kind of getting back to life a little bit has been good and great, but it's also been a little bit of a challenge. I mean, I think that, I was a little naive back in 2024 when I was kind of like, we're back at work, we're doing this. And I think, it's been kind of getting kind of my feet back from under me has been a little bit more of a challenge than I thought it was going to be. But yeah, I think it's just kind of been, I've had success, had some failures, and it's been kind of a little bit of this, a little bit of that. So
dive a little bit more into it. So 2024 and 2025, what did your life look like? What happened over those times?
A lot of follow-up appointments. When you have a bone marrow transplant, it is, you're going to they're going to continuously bring you back to monitor everything, bone marrow biopsies, blood work. They're going to be looking at everything. And so a lot of that, I was juggling work while still doing a lot of follow-up care. And that started to become a lot of time consumption for me, juggling that a little bit. Weirdly, funny enough, I also have a dog, so it was kind of juggling like, okay, well, I have to be at Emory between this time and this time, but I have a showing at this time. But I got to also make sure I can get back to Smyrna to go pick up Lee from Puppy Haven. So it's kind of like, it's like kind of like, a lot of moving parts, and and it's just me doing it, and I'm proud of myself for that, but I'm also like, ooh, it's been kind of a doozy. So, but the past 2 years, it's kind of been a lot of trial and error and learning. This works, this doesn't. So that's kind of been.
So you've been really back and forth, and you've learned something through that about it life not being a certain way. So I'd love to hear more about that specifically.
Yeah. So I think, and I think your question at the beginning about the, the different,
what makes you uniquely you?
Uniquely you when it comes to work, life, and in your faith. And I think that for me, a big lesson that I've learned is that life is not always linear. I think you're always going to have left, right, up, down. There's going to be some kind of, it's never going to be a straight path. And I mean, as much as you wish it was, it's never going to be that way. You're going to have some days where that straight path is going to be great, but then there's going to be days where you're just going to go, there's going to be a down, there's going to be an up. And so you just got to learn to adapt and learn to know at the end of the day, you have to lean into your convictions, lean into your faith, and just know that, God's got me, and I'm going to get through this. And
what did it take for you to learn that?
I think the third time, I've had a lot. From 3 different battles with cancer at the age of 15, 21, and 26, 27-ish. I think I was those 3 ages when that all happened. And, every battle had a different struggle. As well. I've had many different stuff. And when I was in high school, a junior in high school, my childhood home burned down. And I think that there's just a lot of things that has happened in my life that's kind of made me come to that conclusion that first and foremost, life is not linear, and that there's going to be different obstacles that you're going to have to face and overcome on a day-to-day basis. And so I think that was one lesson that I've learned. I think a second one is, I mean, and I think a lot of that has to do with the fire. I think you find your passion for things, and I think when that fire happened, it really lit kind of
a fire,
quote unquote fire.
You had a fire lit.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of put me in a space where I kind of looked at what do I enjoy, and when that fire happened, we had to go. Our family, our house burned to the ground. I was asleep in my bed, and my mom and brother were yelling to get out. I'm a heavy sleeper, so I was snoozing through, and
your house was burning down.
The house was burning
asleep.
down, and I wake up to smoke, flame, and
wow.
So I got up, ran out of the house in my boxers, sitting out in the front yard watching the house just burn in my boxers. It was crazy, and I remember just freaking out because we had dogs. All 3 dogs made it out. We did lose a cat. I was really sad about that.
Oh, man.
But I think from that we kind of went on a home search. So obviously the home was gone, so we had to go on a home search. And my mom's best family friend was a realtor at the time in Rome. She's now the managing broker at a brokerage in Rome, and we went on a home search with her. And for me, I really loved that process. And so I enjoyed that home search process, and I, didn't love that I lost my home, but I loved going on showings with the family and going to showings with Susan, our realtor, and I just thought it was a really cool experience. And for me, that was kind of what led me to eventually getting into this and getting into being a realtor full time.
So your passion for let me get this straight. Your passion for real estate came. So you're 15.
Mm-hmm.
You had just battled through cancer your first time.
Yeah.
Your childhood home burns down. You lose a cat.
Yeah.
You're standing out in the front yard and you got your boxers on and you just finished battling with cancer. But from all of that struggle, a passion was born because you were able to sort of realize like the home search process is actually a lot of fun. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. I think that's kind of where I found my calling a little bit.
Why do you think that was your calling?
I loved how Susan, our realtor at the time, she helped us pick up the pieces. And for me, I felt like if I could do that for somebody else and help them find their home, or get their start, and for me, working with people on a day-to-day basis, I want to make it a positive experience. I'm trying to make it a fun experience.
Yeah.
Because there is stressful things that happen during a home buying process, a home purchase, and I try to make it as least stressful as possible. To a fault, sometimes I take on a lot of the stress myself. But for the most part, I'm trying my hardest to make it an enjoyable experience for them and try to take care of my clients in a way that they're going to walk away from a transaction knowing they've been taken care of.
Would you feel like your job was fully done if you helped your client pick up the pieces just like your realtor helped y'all?
Yeah, I think so. I think I would feel better about it. And I think at the end of the day, that's where my passion for real estate and for buying and selling homes is not necessarily the numbers or the accolades or whatever. And it's that at the end of the day, my clients are being helped and my clients are getting to the end goal of what they want, which is either they're buying a house or they're selling their house to move on to their next spot. And for me, I feel that that's where I feel the most strength.
Yeah.
I think that was 2. And then the third, I think it was just being a genuinely good person. I think, and for me, all 3 of those, whether it's work, life, or faith, that's all intertwined. I think, your faith, your work life, and your personal life are not going to be linear. There's going to be things that you need to find your passion. And I think the third thing is just being a genuinely good person every day. And I think that for me, going every day, and I try, and there's interactions I've had where I'm not proud of how I acted or how I handled it. We're human, but for the most part, every day I try to walk away from every interaction that I have with a person and be like, he was positive, he was a light, he's happy, he's an enjoyable person to be around, because at the end of the day, that's what you want, you know, and if you were to, and I don't want to be morbid, but like, you know, you were to pass away tomorrow, you don't want people to remember the last interaction with you was something negative. I would rather it be something positive.
Totally.
So that's where that's kind of been the trajectory of my life, and that's where I really feel drawn in those three things, just whether work, life, or faith. And I think those three attributes really kind of structured my mentality and what I try to do on a day-to-day basis.
Let me ask you this, Jordan. You've beaten cancer. You have such a interesting perspective on life, in my opinion. You've beaten cancer 3 times. Your childhood home burned down in the middle of all that. Life is definitely not linear, as I'm learning from you. Yeah. But you said something interesting. It was like, you just got to be a good person. Well, what, from your experience in life, you're battling cancer, winning 3 times, the childhood home burning down, all these things, what would happen if you weren't just a good person in every interaction? Like, what can you pull on from what you've learned with your battles that makes you say, like, hey, being a good person is the thing you should be most focused on from what I've learned? Does that make sense?
Yeah. I think I just look back on some, like, an example of that would be when I was in the hospital this last time. There was a day where I just lost my cool. And it was this tech. She came in doing blood pressure, and I just lost it. I lost my shit. And, you know, I'm in the hospital, and I just completely, and I look back on it, and to this day, I'm still mortified. I'm like, I was so, I was just mean. And, like, there was no reason for me to be mean. And it's like, I'm in the hospital, and, like, it's awful, but, like, I'm just like, and it was just kind of like one of those things, like she was putting the blood pressure cuff off, and I just like ripped my arm out of it and just was like, just don't, like, leave me alone. And it was like, and I look back on that, and I still to this day, I mean, this 3 years later, and I'm just like, what was the point? Like, why? And I think for me, and I may have a heavy conscience, I don't know, but like, I just think that being genuinely nice and just trying to think back on every interaction, you just think back and you just say, I'm proud of how I handled that situation. I'm proud that I was strong and happy and nice. I think that makes, it just goes a lot longer. I think it goes further.
Goes further.
I think if you remembered in a negative light, and I know that tech, she probably didn't remember me now, but like, I do think, I'm like, think back on her and think like, okay, well, she does think about me. Like, does she think like, what an ass? Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's kind of where, and you know, that's also being probably in tune to what other people think about you. But I don't know. I think for me, it's trying to be the best version of myself in every interaction, because you just don't know. Like, I would rather have everyone's thoughts of me be positive rather than something negative.
Last thing I'll ask you is, how has your faith been defined or refined, rather, going through all those things? Like, how have you leaned on God more? I mean, I've noticed your faith be strengthened, because like, we're in Bible studies together and stuff, so I've noticed it. But like, from your perspective, how has that grown?
Yeah, I mean, I think there were times where I was angry. I was like, well, how am I going through? What have I done to do this?
Yeah.
What have I done? Like, really, it's grown closer, and just knowing that at the end of the day, you've got to lean on God and lean on your faith, and just know that at the end of the day, that's what matters, and that's what is going to get you through. It's not going to be, you know, I think working towards the higher power is what is honestly what's going to get you through. I think at the end of the day, that's what matters, not the accolades that you're going to get here on earth, not the, you know, high sales productions, whatever. It's going to be that I'm genuinely a good person. I'm treating people the way I would like to be treated, and I'm being, you know, strong in my convictions and strong in my faith, and really leaning into God, and just knowing that I'm, you know, I think that's really where it boils down to. Is just that my faith has gotten stronger because I'm leaning more into my faith, and just saying, at the end of the day, it's about Him, not about me, not about what I'm doing here on earth. So
that's great, man.
Yeah,
I love it.